So, me have some things to talk about here. Well, let me stop. Yeah, I was thinking about some things and a couple of topics that I want to talk about. So, I'm going to say that at the beginning. And this is kind of like a diary. Sometimes the uploads that I do is kind of like a diary because I'm not trying to enlighten folks. Sometimes I just talk about things that I'm thinking, things that I kind of see going on, and kind of expressing how I feel about the situations. But I don't really mean to try to change the way anybody else thinks. It's just kind of like my little diaries. And, instead of writing, I say things like this. I record it like, psychologists do. Not that I'm a psychologist. But you know how they just record their sessions? Well, I'm recording my sessions. But anyway, I want to talk about a couple of things. And a couple of things is violence can be in different ways. Violence can be in different ways. And then the second thing I'm going to talk about is when you return something back to somebody, say like negative energy, especially energy that somebody purposely continues to send you away, especially if it's somebody in a position of authority, right? If it's somebody in a position of authority, or even if they're not in a position of authority, somebody's constantly sending negativity your way and they purposely doing it and they continue to do it. Not somebody who just, not just somebody just who's flawed. You know how some people can be negative because they just, flawed, might have a little attitude, might not feel good that day. Some people have off days. Okay, you never know what's going on with folks, how they might feel, and they might have a little nasty attitude because you never know what they could have been through. I don't mean that kind of negative energy. All of us can, go through things. I don't mean it like that. I'm talking about somebody who might abuse their power and constantly do negative things to other folks who are subordinate to them because they have the power just to be very nasty. Like they're almost like totalitarian. Or just in general, people just constantly throwing negativity towards you and they know they're doing it. And so I'm going to talk about that part and how, I don't care when the negativity goes back to that person. I don't care how it shows up in their life. See, what people need to do is detach from how things might show up in somebody else's life. But I want to talk about this first thing first, about how violence can happen in many ways. When I think about how people, especially like supervisors or whoever, or how people just use their influence, they use their network, they use their power, their position to do something to affect your life. They do something to affect your income. They do something to affect your livelihood. They might give you unnecessary work, might give you too much work that they know you can't complete in one day. Or they might tell you to do something that you don't agree with, that might be very unethical. But we live in a corrupted type of world. So no matter what you listen to, what kind of ethics video you listen to, or whatever, how you listen to all these little ethics video, like that stuff is real. No matter what you listen to, a lot of bad people get away with, I don't want to call them bad people, but people get away with just being corrupt because the society has become corrupt. Okay, and so a lot of times folks like that in those positions like that, they do things and feel like they can just be slick and get away with it because people have always, for the most part, a lot of the times got away with being corrupt. And I want to just talk about how that's violence. See, it's more than one way to look at violence. Because you think about violence as somebody hitting somebody, beating somebody, and that is violence. That's physical violence. That's assault. That's physical violence. But it's other ways that could be attempted murder too. When you are a boss, some kind of figure that's over somebody else, or somebody who's a figure or authority over you, and they continue to constantly give you work that you cannot complete in an 8-hour day, but they come to you with all these demands that you need to finish it. and you tell them that you can't finish it or you might need extra time, but they don't want to give you overtime or, just any other thing like that. And because you don't find a way to kill yourself to get the job done, they find a way to make your life hell. Okay? Don't you think that's violence? Is that violence? Think about somebody else in a position of authority like a judge. Judges can be some of the worst. Corrupt judges are like, they're literally soul killers. Because they can do whatever, because when they're corrupt like that, they're part of some kind of organization and they can't really be fair. They have to do whatever, that sometimes they're told to do. Or sometimes they just might use their power against a person they don't like. And they could affect your life worse than people who might be a supervisor. Somebody who a judge or in a position to send you to jail, to put you in jail, to write up things and write up all kind of false accusations. And they have a network of people that can falsely accuse you of all kind of stuff. And then you have a world that's corrupt, that's run off of organizations that's very that it's not about who it's all about who just has power. It's all about who's in with that particular organization that runs the world. And so when you deal with somebody that's at that level of a position, that level of authority, and they have something against you, they choose you as a target. They can use everything they can. They can have police pull you over for any reason. Police can pull up the smallest thing or do their best to find something, pull you over. You be taking, that's violence. That is violence. That's almost like attempted murder. I mean, it's like you causing somebody stress in their life. You can destroy their life. You can take their livelihood. You can take them away from their family. They can be locked up for like 20 years. That is violence. That's worse than punching somebody in the face. That's violence. That's literally murder. That's murder. Okay? But now I want to get to this thing about when you return something back to people who constantly want to send negative energy your way, negative intentions your way, or just people who like literally are doing black magic on you, okay? Or people like, just like I said, in a position of authority that's constantly just doing negative stuff. If you ever decide to send it back, or when you send it back, okay, to them, or you might decide to get some justice, or however you might do it, to get what you deserve, to get back what belongs to you, plus some, okay, plus interest, okay, get back what you deserve plus interest, okay. I am not going to decide how that turns up for them. I am not one to decide how that turns up for them, because it's their responsibility. They have to take responsibility for how they treat other people. The bottom line. So when somebody dies, I hate the saying. I hate it when people say this. Oh, nobody deserves to die. Fuck, bullshit. How you say nobody deserves to die? Are you crazy? So what about a dictator that's ordering millions of people to be killed? So you don't think that dictator deserves to die, but it's okay for him to order for millions of people to be killed? I don't like that mentality, because when people say that, I don't even think they believe what they're saying. Because if you attack the person that says that, the person that say nobody deserves to die, you go attack the person that said that, they'd be ready to throw some fire at you in a second. So they don't even believe what they said when they said that. I don't like the fake positivity. To me, that is fake positivity. Of course, it's people who deserve to die. Okay? But really, what is death? Because I talked about earlier, there's really no such thing as death, anyway. But as far as just being removed, it's people who deserve to be removed. I'm going to say it like that. Because what is death? I don't think death is necessarily a bad thing if you do it purposely because you want to be free from the body, because the body is so limiting. And let me tell you, death. I think I said this before. Death can be what looks to be a physical death, or death can be just transcending out of the ego into your light body and beyond. And so it doesn't always have to be like you die, like a physical type of death. If you reach the point before you get a physical death, you reach a point where you have you could transcended, you've already in unlimited possibility. So you might not have to go through that process. You'll be kind of immortal, and you won't age because you have passed the programming of aging and all that stuff. So death is not necessarily what you would call a physical death, and letting go of this life doesn't mean you let go of everything. You just what I was basically saying is let go of this current physical reality that I'm in right now. Even if I had a time in my life, it is so limiting. See, because I don't want to, I don't want to have to be in the world where I continue to have to pay for things that I need. I feel like everything, let me say it like this. I feel like everything should be for free. I don't feel like it should be a time that I can't afford whatever it is I want in life. Because if I'm the all, then I should be able to afford anything I want. Everything should be for free. So that's why I say I don't want to hold on to this kind of life. Even if you manifest stuff, but if I have to pay for, I don't care if it's the best hotel in the world, I don't care what it is. If I have to pay anything for it, I shouldn't have to pay for it. Everything should be for free. If I am the all, then I shouldn't have to pay anything. That's a crime. That's a crime to have to pay for everything. If you are the problem with why we pay for stuff is because people don't really realize that. And when a lot of people do know it, they don't cognize it because the ones who can explain it better than I can still paying for stuff. So it's not necessarily cognized, like you know it on the top of your head, but it's not deeply believed because you're still paying for mortgage, you're still paying for rent, you still, Anyway, so I was just explaining what I meant by death, and when some people say, "Oh, nobody deserves to die," and that's fake positivity. But I'm gonna use the word remove instead of death. I'm gonna use the word because some people who want to die because they want to transcend this kind of life, they're deserving of death the way they want their death to be. They deserve that too because that's something that's gonna make them happy. That's something that's gonna make them free. So I don't always look at death as a bad thing, but some people deserve to be removed. Let me say it like that. They do deserve to be removed. They need to be removed. And to just really feel like certain entities shouldn't be removed is why this type of perception reality of a world is the way it is now, because you have so many people that think that want to talk about what somebody deserves. No, the main source of why this so-called world is the way it is needs to be removed. Okay? That needs to be removed. And I'm not going to be trying to be love and light about that situation. But just in general, though, sending negative energy back to somebody, sending something back to somebody, even if they're doing some kind of magic on you, or even if they're using their words. Some people are good with their mouth. Some people know that their mouth can cause harm to somebody too. So it's not always about just sitting down with altars and doing spell work. Some people understand that they can project things with their thoughts. They don't have to do all this altars and spell work. They know that they're thinking that their mind is strong enough. And so when you return their stuff back to them, or you do something, or you just want to get your justice and get what belongs to you in interest, however that other person, however their life turns out, however that looks for them, is none of my business. So let's say if I send negative energy back to them, and because the easiest target might be their child, right? Because when you send negative energy back, you literally might be sending some spirits back to them, because that's what they send it to you. You send it back to them. But what if sometimes it's easier for some of them the spirits to attach to their child or whatever? That ain't my problem. And their child might die, or their child might get sick. That's not my problem. People need to separate from how things are going to turn out. You got to separate, because that person needs to take accountability for how they treat other people. Especially if there's somebody who's constantly nasty, not somebody who might just be in a bad mood because they're going through something. You might be sick. You might be in a bad mood for a week or something because you might be sick. Something could be going on. You could be stressed out. You could have lost your mother or your sister or something. It's other reasons why somebody could be negative, and I'm not talking about that. But if somebody have a track record of just being ugly to folks, just because they just like the power, like a lot of times they power hungry, they just stealing your energy, and they do stuff to steal your energy or do things might want to sacrifice you. That's rampant in the brown community. It's unfortunate. But do things to sacrifice you because they want some kind of financial gain, or they are part of this organization where they're trying to crawl up in rank. In order to crawl up in high ranks, they got to have blood sacrifices. Okay? So, you know, when you send that type of stuff back to folks like that, I detach myself from how that even looks. That's not my business. That ain't my problem to think about how that stuff shows up for them. Because when they sent their energy your way, they didn't think about they didn't think about your life. They thought about harming you in every way possible to get whatever they wanted. So they didn't care about your well-being. They didn't care about your well-being. So when you decide to send this stuff back to them, or just get justice, get what you deserve, okay? I don't care how that might show up for them, because it's none of my business. It's none of my business to dictate how spirit deals with them. That's not my business to dictate for them. Whether they might lose their mother, they might lose their father. In the case, my father, I believe strongly that my father died in 2017 because it was probably some death spells that was meant for me from my no longer mother. I don't call her my mother, but at the time she was my mother, and my brother at the time. It was something that was meant for me to die. But it bounced back and it killed my father in 2017 because if it doesn't attach to me and it doesn't work, those demons need to be fed. They're not loyal. Those demons are not going to be loyal. They got to get their energy somewhere. And if the target that they intended to get to does not work, then they're going to have to get fed from somewhere. And you see what it is sometimes people have a certain time frame that this stuff needs to work. And this stuff, if they continue to do stuff and it's not working, then stuff continues to be taken from them. So then they lose their child. Their child gets sick. I lost my father in 2017, you know. And then they get angry with me because they shit bounced back. It didn't work. And then they get mad at me because somebody else died because they mad at me for not dying. See, I don't even deal with folks like that. I can't deal with folks like that. See, that's beyond evil. I mean, you got to get to a point where you realize something like that comes from a very low dimensions. You got to understand that is something from a very low dimension. That you just want to continue to try to kill somebody who's not bothering you for whatever reason. And then when it don't work, you get mad that they don't die. And you pissed at them for not dying. I can't deal. I refuse to deal with folks like that. But when you decide to get justice from those kind of people from doing stuff to you for so long, I don't care how it shows up in their life. Detach from that situation. That is not my problem. Guess what? I got nephews. But guess what? If I decide to get some justice or that stuff bounce back on, you know, my sibling, my ex-sibling, if that stuff bounce back on them, something happens to one of my nephews, they die, I got to detach myself from the situation because that's his fault. That's the curse from him. That curse came from him and his child. I got to detach myself from the situation. If he lose his wife, or whatever, I got to detach myself from the situation because that is something that he did. That's the curse that he brought for his household. So detach. Detach. Don't be all sensitive. And I have to tell myself, don't be all sensitive if you hear one of my nephews died. It's his fault. He did it. He threw some spirits to somebody else. It didn't work the way he thought it should have worked. Now it bounced back on his child. Now his child is fighting for their life. It's his fault. He needs to learn to take accountability. I'm not going to take accountability for somebody else who continues to bring a curse to their household. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. It said, when you send, because I have to tell myself that too. When you send this stuff back to them, detach yourself from how this stuff might look. These people might lose everybody in their family. Because you never know, and also you never know what lesson they're supposed to be learning too. Because you know what? You never know how their ancestors or spirits might be dealing with them. Maybe they need to learn something. Maybe they got ancestors that could be trying to reach them and they not listening. Because people like that, sometimes when they get whatever they want or whatever they do all kind of negative, terrible things to people and they get away with it. And then they sometimes their ancestors can't reach them. So sometimes really bad things have to happen in order for them to even wake up. But then again, that ain't my business either. That's why I say detach myself from how things look. You know, detach myself from how things look, how it turns out for the other person. That is not for me to care about, you know. But anyway, that's it, and I'll talk later.